Hello and welcome back to our coverage of the World Magic Cup, and welcome back both Italy and Portugal to our feature match area as something of a grudge match emerging between these two teams. When they played just a couple of rounds ago, ultimately it was Portugal who were able to emerge victorious, but my goodness was it close. And we're going to get a chance to see whether or not, now that there is no more wiggle room, it is going to be Portugal that are again able to take the victory, or whether or not Italy can find their way through. It was so tight before. Last time round, Carvalho, he was kind of the one that was able to pick up the win, if anything, most easily for Team Portugal with his Golgari mid-range deck against Is It Drakes. But Is It Drakes definitely has potential in this matchup.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's traditionally said that Is It is, I would say, favored against Golgari mid-range, but Marcio did prove us very wrong in the previous iteration of this matchup, which is not a glitch. It's not a deja vu.
It's definitely a deja vu, but it is not a glitch.
No, it's not a glitch in the Matrix or anything like that. And with Carvalho with a decent start, but only a Wildgrove Walker into Merfolk Branchwalker. No third land for the Portuguese master. And now he's going to have to face off against this Enigma Drake.
Yeah, Enigma Drake, while at the moment just 1 power on the front end due to a single opt in the graveyard, it's still got a big old amount of toughness on the back end to be able to block with here, and that necessitating the cast down from Carvalho, who just wants to keep on hitting the red zone. Yeah,
so a great start from Marcin from that regard, putting up enough power on the battlefield to start swinging, clearing the way. He also has a Vraska's Contempt, a Vivian Reed. He just wants to keep drawing lands.
Yeah, I mean, the early beatdown has worked out very nicely here for Carvalho. He's been able to knock Is It Drake's deck down to 13. The Drake's deck, it tends to not hit for small chunks of damage, though. Once it starts attacking, it can do crazy amounts of damage with the likes of Enigma Drake, Crackling Drake, and so on and so forth. And we will see whether or not Basilico is able to piece this together this time around, because last time it really didn't pan out for him as Crackling Drake comes along, draws him a card. Looking at the cards in hand, once he untaps, he'll be able to protect Crackling Drakes very nicely with Dive Down, and Charter Course will get him plenty of spells in the graveyard. This is kind of a pivotal turn, though, because if Marcio's able to remove the Crackling Drake and get stuck in here, it may prove too much for the Drake's deck to come back from.
Yeah, one of the things that Basilico was thinking about there was not playing the Crackling Drake, maybe playing like a Charter Course and looking for some more instant sorceries, because he did want to protect it with that Dive Down in his hand. His hand is basically a bunch of lands, Charter Course, and the Dive Down. So if now, by exposing the Crackling Drake, he is not in a position to defend it from removal. But Marcin does not seem like he has removal just yet, but he's attacking here.
So this is just the block that saves the most life for Basilico. He wants to get through to the mid and late game as stable as he possibly can. And just a Midnight Reaper here from Carvalho, who is hanging back a little bit on lands. The Lamoire Elves that he sent to the graveyard on an early explore, he may be wishing that he had that now. There's one in hand, but he's not had a great turn to be able to cast it more recently.
Ooh, great Charter Course here from Basilico. Draws into another Crackling Drake and a Lava Coil. This will allow him to easily play a land. Lava Coil away the Midnight Reaper just to deny Marcio some cards, and he will still have the dive down to protect the Crackling Drake. Of course, if he decides to go with this line of play that I just described.
I mean, is there a temptation maybe even to throw that Lava Coil at the Wild Growth Walker, simply because right now it's easily removable with one spell? That may not be true with any more exploring that goes on.
It's definitely valid. I mean, Basilico surely recognizing the fact that Marcio is struggling with lands. Lava Coiling goes for the Midnight Reaper, as I first mentioned, and the Crackling Drake again will stay on defense, but this time it has much more power. It can block and kill any of the creatures if he so chooses.
So just a little bit more exploring here. Seeker Squire, it's kind of just the additional explore that this deck's looking for, rather than being anything too terribly scary on its own there. Though a 2-mana 2/3, nothing to sniff at.
Yeah, no lands for Marcin. He's struggling a little bit here. He already explored away 2 Lamoire Elves, but still has the third one that he was able to deploy just now. So at least he'll be guaranteed to have 4 mana next turn, unless of course Basilico decides to kill it with something that he's going to have to draw off the top.
Now this is the turn where Basilico gets to do the play of Crackling Drake, holding mana up for Dive Down, and there's such a strong temptation to run this. I'd be stunned if he doesn't go for it. There it is, draws a card off the Crackling Drake, and this means that now He's even got the backup opt so that he can be casting still more spells. And he's got a good wall against what Carvalho has going on. Just straightforwardly on the board, it's not particularly easy for Carvalho to attack, and then on top of that, there's the potential to stymie the first removal spell coming from the Portuguese pro.
There's a land from the Portuguese pro, Carvalho here, with the detection tower. At least he's worked his way up to 5 mana here, and that, to me, signals Vivian Reed. It would have been great in any of those previous turns to take down the Crackling Drake, and Marcio will probably go for it here, but the dive down is going to be a great way to stop the -3 ability on that powerful green Planeswalker.
You see that Carvalho just double checking how many cards are in Mattia Basilico's hand. Wants to make sure that he can, as much as possible at least, try and play around what's going on the other side of things. Has Fine Finality at some point later in the game. Vraska's Contempt and that Vivian Reed. Vivian Reed, the most efficient one on mana here.
Indeed. But it's interesting spot, and we've already seen it in other matches. Double Crackling Drake represents a lot of damage. So up first from Basilico.
I mean, I guess that the Vivian Reed, regardless of how it gets used, is going to fall to a Crackling Drake one way or another. There's enough spells in the graveyard that attacks on the Planeswalker will be lethal.
Still deciding on that card from Opt if he wants it or not.
Such a powerful reprint, that one, originally in Invasion, and as soon as it became available in Standard, it's amazing how many people jumped right on that train.
Yeah, it works well. It's a Shock.
Shock's a nice addition here.
Yeah, can take down the Llanowar Elf or the Merfolk Branchwalker, or go face if you need the damage. And it's a cheap spell. It works really well with something like Arclight Phoenix.
So a bit of a decision here for Carvalho.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for the minus here. Plussing doesn't really make sense because there's already 4 instants and sorceries in Basilico's graveyard, so he doesn't need that much more to... Oh, goes for the plus here. Interesting. So he's probably expecting to dive down, doesn't want to get blown out just yet, and wants to at least get some cards off of that Vivian Reed. Interesting play from the Portuguese master here.
Yeah, I mean, this means that in order for Basilico to be able to kill off Vivian Reed, he will either need to get 2 more spells in the graveyard or commit both of those drakes to an attack. And it's not as if Basilico can really afford to be taking too big a hit on the ground from all of the creatures that Carvalho has left remaining. If he does end up attacking him with both creatures, there's not that much left to protect himself with.
Yeah. Goes for the Shock end of turn, takes out the Llanowar Elves there. So that he's already up to 5 instant sorceries between in graveyard and exile. Now his hand is, ooh, look at that, a Lava Coil as well.
That's kind of perfect, right? You get to remove another one of the threats on the battlefield and pump up your drakes so that you can now make sure that those remaining threats on the battlefield can get killed off. That Vivian Reed is no longer so much of a concern. You don't even need to play the Lava Coil initially. You can potentially dig and maybe even set up a cool Arclight Phoenix turn.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any Phoenixes for now, but he has Discovery Dispersal as well. It's actually, he's running that Dragon Skull Summit to be able to cast the other side of that. Or, yeah, he goes for the Discovery here. He's going to see some new cards. I'm just now trying to find Mattia Basilico. It's not just about like keeping the board clear, but I think he's surely trying to figure out like how am I actually going to win over the next few turns, because he might decide here to attack Vivian, would want to keep one back, but he might attack with both, one at Vivian, the other one at face, maybe Lava Coiling one of the creatures on the battlefield, and then he even has another Charter Course to keep drawing the cards. So lots going on in Mattia Basilico's hand.
Looks like there's a little bit of advice coming from Andrea Mengucci, who is sat just next to Basilico here. Mengucci, he's the one with more experience of the World Magic Cup than most in the room, and certainly more experience of winning the World Magic Cup than pretty much everybody in the room. He's had a 1st place, a 3rd place, and a 4th place. Yeah. I think that he'd far rather have 2 firsts than, create the nice run there. Yeah,
still, if he were to go 4 in a row, it would be an absolutely incredible achievement.
Just so you guys are familiar, in terms of pool play, this match absolutely pivotal for each of these teams. One of these teams will advance to the next pool. One of them will have to watch from the bleachers from here on out as both of these Drakes come on in. Vivian Reed getting killed off, and post-combat that means that Char, of course, drawing 2 cards, no discard required, and at that point Basilico gets to play a land and even get this Lava Coil going on.
I mean, playing Lava Coil post-combat, it costs a little bit of damage. Playing Charter Cores after combat does make a lot of sense because you want to draw some extra cards. And I think they just wanted to keep their options open, eschewing the 1 damage that playing the Lava Coil before combat would have given him, just so that maybe if they drew something else, they wouldn't have wanted to play the Lava Coil anyway. So, and it's fine here. It's not a big swing. It's only a swing for 5. And I think Basilico might already be thinking of a way to close out the game on the next turn.
Carvalho's at 20. There's 8 spells in the graveyard right now, and the spells that Basilico has to work with, they will get him there.
Yeah.
Ideally, he doesn't want to have to use the dive down aggressively. He wants to be able to hold that one back up, I would imagine. And an opt here, that's the 9th spell.
Yeah, it's I mean, here has everything he needs in his hand, and now there's the dive down, and yeah, it's also the 10th spell for the graveyard. Opt resolves, and I think Basilico is just going to go through the motions and swing with both. Just drew another Crackling Drake as well. He has Beacon Bolt and everything. Marcio's dead and buried here.
Just the casual 20 points coming through in the sky with just 2 attackers here. 22, why not?
Yeah. Just in case. Yeah, there it is. So the Izzet Drake's deck doing what it's supposed to do in this matchup, playing a Drake, protecting it with dive down, and then swinging for the win.
Yeah, and that's a key adjustment from what happened in the first time that these 2 teams played each other today. There, Marcio Carvalho got a straightforward 2-0 victory. And in this team competition, in addition to obviously, you want to get all of the wins that you can, the longer that Marcio is tied up in his match, that's less time that he's able to provide potentially very important advice to his teammates here as we jump across and get a chance to see how Andrea Mengucci is working out on the middle table here. Mengucci already with a Carnage Tyrant with 2+1/+1 counters. Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that he's doing all right in spite of whatever the live turtles might say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's doing well for himself. I mean, when we saw this matchup previously, Andrea Mengucci was absolutely crushing. Like, it was a quick 2-0 with great draws and looking great here for the Italian Magic Pro League member. Galvao has to put up a lot of stuff to survive this.
The life totals being 9-2 and there being as much lifelink as there is on the other side of things for Diogo Galvao does make this a little bit interesting. He's going to be able to potentially, if he wants to, gain back much of the damage that Carnage Tyrant dealing each turn, but 9 points of trample is an awful lot for even the lifelink on Galvao's side of things to mitigate against.
Yeah, 8 points of toughness is hard to do. Even if he plays the History of Benalia he has in the hand, he only has 7 power worth of creatures. So even if he threw all of that in front of the Carnage Tyrant, it's not going to be enough. The 9-8 just absolutely humongous. Now Galvao motioning to his teammate there about what he can do.
Carnage Tyrant, just an omnipresent threat in this standard format. Every team in the room seems to have some Carnage Tyrants to work with, and the fact that they can't be countered means that they're good against your straightforward control decks. The fact that they can't be targeted by your opponent means that against a lot of these mid-range decks that have lots of removal, they can be a problem. The fact that it's a gigantic creature, even against the aggro decks, is really pretty rough. And that's the reason that Mengucci has that advantage bar so firmly pointing in his direction here.
Yeah, I mean, Mengucci's out of cards, but he doesn't really need it. I think the Portuguese are deliberating about how they want to approach this. It's going to be the History of Benalia, looks like. They were probably thinking, like, is there any way we can attack, maybe gain some life back? But I don't think so. I mean, Jade Light Range is also a quite nice blocker when it's a 4-3.
Yeah, Conclave Tribunal sat in hand for Galvao. That will not deal with the giant Carnage Tyrant hexproof enough to mean that plan just simply does not work out.
Yeah. So I think the Portuguese are now hoping to assemble enough in power of lifelink in power to block the Carnage Tyrant, gain some life back, and not die to the trample damage, which I think works out if you just block with the 2 lifelinkers, because you gain 4, you go up to 6, and you take 5 from the trample damage. So should be okay, but you're losing a bunch of style. Look at Gavao's hand. He has the Tribunal, useless against the Carnage Tyrant.
Honestly, of more interest to me is heroic reinforcements here. If he can block with few enough creatures to be able to have any kind of a board, find a mountain, and then play heroic reinforcements and attack, he might be able to piece something together here. But even just achieving that is going to be difficult, as Menguchi coming in with 2 creatures here. So that you correctly spotted that the 2/2 life linkers just enough to survive the attack from the Carnage Tyrant, but another creature having to be thrown in the way of Jade Light Ranger, meaning that this is essentially an empty board for Galvao after these blocks are completed.
Yeah, so it looks like Galvao is going to throw his whole board away. Yeah, like this. So all his creatures will die. I think he will go to 2 because he also blocked with the 3rd lifelink vampire. And even the heroic reinforcements here would not be enough. There's a Merfolk Branchwalker. He did draw the Clifftop Retreat, but no, just a little bit too late there.
All right, well, Team Italy, this is how they do it in this rematch from earlier on in the day. The first 2 games both going Italy's way. We have just one more game, one going on, that between Tianfa Moon on Selesnya Tokens for Italy, Thiago Fonseca on Izzet Drakes. Now, when we saw this matchup the first time around, the Drakes deck was able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat with a whole bunch of flyers. This time round, both of these players doing a fine job of getting lots of tokens in play. Murmuring Mystic, it's almost keeping up here with the Selesnya Tokens deck, which is saying something.
Yeah, it's the tokens against the Selesnya Tokens. At least it seems the way. Murmuring Mystic has found its way into main decks more and more. And it's been doing a good job of holding off the attacks, but Fonseca's down to 3, and the board of Moon is actually quite significant. Might not appear that way at first glance, but he has a Trostani Discordant in play, and that just pumping up his whole squad is very important.
Yeah, it's not going to be requiring too many creatures to get through unblocked here to find the victory here. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not the one untapped land available to Fonseca represents a spell. If there's a shock coming from Fonseca here, it means that he both gets to remove one of the attackers from Moon, and it also means that he's able to get another Bird Illusion, another blocker for what's going on from the Selesnya Tokens list. Now, that's not winning the game this turn, but it might be enough to mean that he's not losing immediately.
Yeah, it's these sorts of the combat here is fairly significant, and sometimes you're kind of worried about attacking with your Trostani, and the Italians do not. They're keeping their legend back because they just know it. The Crackling Drake would kill it, and the Portuguese would probably find a way to survive enough. And just the Trostani is really, really important on this board.
So 13 spells, I think, is the count in terms of what that Izzet Drake could, that Crackling Drake could do. So if there's a way of Fonseca surviving this, then he may well be able to get things going.
Yeah, attack back. There's some lifelinkers on Moon's side, but we've seen the Drake's deck be very explosive with their cards.
So this is all about treading water, surviving as best he can here for Fonseca. So one creature coming through, which on the face of things means that the Portuguese life total going down to just 1 here.
Yeah, you think, oh, why didn't he attack with the Trostani? That would have been lethal. Well, in that case, I think Fonseca would have blocked different. He might have lost a few creatures, but the Trostani would have died to the Kraken League for sure. Saying that, I think the Selesnya Tokens should be in decent shape unless Fonseca has like a sneaky maximized velocity in a graveyard and then a Crackling Drake would come down.
Yeah, it would take a lot of Arc-like Phoenixes.
Okay, radical idea. Discarding. Phoenix or land?
I mean, you might as well discard the Phoenix and at least try.
Yeah, and hope to at least get through. I mean, he probably needs all those birds to survive anyway. No, just the land here. So I think that... Ooh, double Arclight Phoenix even. No more radical ideas. No more maximized velocity. No nothing. And
no
there's
more
a
game.
swoop.
All right, so Team Italy, the first time around, it seemed very, very close indeed. The second time around, now, with their backs against the wall, they're accepting no prisoners. They are really trying to make sure that they stamp a real message on this game, make it through to the second round of pool play, with a win here against Portugal. I mean, how much do you think knowing the matchups is going to make a difference in this second time around, this second bite of the cherry?
One thing that is going to be important is knowing that Jan Famoun is bringing in Settle the Wreckage against the Drakeless. It was very important in their first match, and in Marcia's interview he even said they did not expect Settle the Wreckage at all, so having that negate was actually great for them because they really didn't think about it. So it certainly helps. Also, all these players already played sideboard matches, so they know what the other player is going to do, which is going to make it that much more interesting. And I think this is sort of high-level Magic that I personally really enjoy.
Okay, so we're back with Basilico and Carvalho. This is where we kicked things off in this round. And turn 2 Wild Growth Walker. We've seen it so much this tournament, coming along with an opt from Basilico here as he aims to just improve his hand a little bit. Picked up a treasure map there, that
Nice.
one that if the game goes long enough will let him do all sorts of fun stuff, and a spell pierce available to him here as well. So the first removal spell from Carvalho's side of the board might well be able to be stopped, not just by dive down, but perhaps by something else too.
Yeah, a great draw from Marcia there. He drew a Jade Light Ranger, which is perfect here. Gets a detection tower in his hand. Assassin's Trophy on top is also quite nice. I'm sure he's going to keep that. But being able to not just get the cards, but able to start it swinging right away is very important for the Golgari deck. It wants to be in the driver's seat. It wants to apply the pressure on this Drake's list, because the Drake's list is not always that great playing from behind, but it's really great when you're on the front foot.
Yeah, if it works out that the Drake's list can hit the mid-game and still be at a relatively substantial life total, that's really its playground. That's where it gets to cast multiple spells a turn and start making everything happen. And obviously it's going to play as many spells as it can to try and achieve that, because getting spells in the graveyard, that's a valuable resource to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So opt finds a Crackling Drake, or rather the treasure map activation. And Basilico is going to play a little bit slow here. He has some Enigma Drakes, but he also has a dive down and spell pierce in hand, so he wants to protect his blocker. Look at that, another Jade Light Ranger from Marcia. So the one that he 2 lands though, I mean, it's still fine.
I mean, you'd much rather draw them that way than any other way, and Basilico, he's got nothing.
Yeah, Basilico just doesn't have any removal. He just has no way to deal with the creatures on board, and that's just very simple. Look at Andrea, he's like, yeah, what can I do? He just drew all spells.
Yeah, smiles on the face of the Italian team. They are enjoying themselves here, and it's been sort of smiles and waves from them throughout the tournament. They've been having a lovely time of it. I mean, Italy has had such a fantastic run when it comes to World Magic Cup successes that, I mean, it's a different kind of pressure, I guess, that they feel. For a lot of countries, it's sort of like, well, you know, we want to make sure that we are able to do well in this tournament just to represent our country, but Italy's kind of expecting.
Yeah, definitely. And at this point, I mean, if they don't make the top 8, it's a disappointment.
Certainly for Andrea Mengucci, I mean, that's where he's made his home these last few years, and he would love to be able to continue that trend.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. At least, well, Portugal's on the board for now. I mean, they lost all the game once, and now they at least claw the one back in their hands of their most experienced player, Marcio Carvalho.
And now we're going to get a chance to see a little bit of our middle match between Andrea Mengucci and Diogo Galvão. So here we have Boros Aggro on the right-hand side of our screen against Golgari mid-range. It was relatively straightforward for Mengucci, both in his game 1 here, but also his whole match that he played earlier on in the day.
Yeah, one of the good things for Mengucci was that he won the die roll both times. He was on the play, which made it much easier to curve out. And the difference now that in the previous meeting, the Tocatli Honor Guard made its way onto the battlefield much later than needed. Now Galvão has on turn 2 and really turns off all the Branch Walkers, the Jade Light Rangers, makes Wild Growth Walker more of a blocker.
Yeah, Tocatli Honor Guard, if you get it into play early, very potent indeed, and I'm not surprised at all to see a cast down fired off at the 1-3 here. It's not the most aggressive for the Boros Aggro list, but what it does in terms of stymieing the draws of Team Italy, substantial enough to warrant a removal spell, and another removal spell here revealed by Jade Light Ranger, leaving a little bit of a thought for Mengucci. He decides Assassin's Trophy, good enough.
Yeah, History of Benalia ticking up slowly but surely, giving the Portuguese Boros players some advantage there. I see a baffling end that's pretty decent to take care of the beefy blocker there on the side of Mengucci.
Yeah, not crazy amounts of enchantment removal lying around for Mengucci. So he's
Another
unlikely.
honor guard. It's great for Galvao here, but there's still the Assassin's Trophy that both players now know about. Instantly going for to kill the honor guard. It's a prime target, and these Golgari mid-ranges have to be ready. There's a Ravenous Chupacabra, and now I think Galvao is again almost out of cards. He has to draw something good to keep the pressure going here.
I mean, you have to wonder when your Boros Aggro deck draws the sideboard cards that are pretty specifically in there for this matchup and still finds itself in tough shape. I mean, that has to be a sign of a pretty bad matchup overall.
Yeah, there's the Pride Mate, an attack with 3 creatures. So
Down to the first fort available.
Yeah, 8 damage from the Knights thanks to the Chapter 3 of History of Benalia. So Mengucci down to 6 here. Plays the Pride Mate, gets a point of life, but now is the time where, look at that, not even waiting, flipping the Chupacabra that both players know, killing the Pride Mate, and looks like Mengucci will slowly stabilize, but yeah, just the Healer's Hog there from Galvao. At least it's a flyer, can ping in a little bit of damage here and there, and you've already, I think they're running some Banefires that I think we saw on day 1. A trade with all the creatures. Here's the Healer's Hog.
And Banefire would do it at this point. As soon as it gets picked up by Team Portugal, they will immediately fire that one off straight at Mengucci in order to try and square things up here. Mengucci, he needs to find some creatures, or I guess maybe a Find Finality, though you really don't want to have to play it in the face of this fairly meager board. Instead uses Find, gets back 2 creatures. Ravenous Chupacabra kills off Healer's Hawk. And that means that also a little bit more gas in the tank for Mengucci for future turns.
Yeah, he also has a Wildgrowth Walker in his hand, so together with the Branch Walk he just picked up, he's going to get some life back, maybe get out of range of that Banefire that we mentioned, if Galvao actually decided to bring it in, of course.
Healer's Hawk number 2 coming along. Healer's Hawk, a draft staple for them of us that like playing the Boros deck. In this instance, though, making it all the way into constructed. The lifelink useful, the flying invasion useful, and here maybe it will be enough to see Galvao through.
Yeah, an attack with the Chupacabra, very cheeky.
I love the small value attacks, and here we see why it worked out, because Wildgrowth Walker coming along, we immediately get our bit of exploration. That means that we're going to be able to see some more life for Mengucci.
Banefire.
And Banefire, not currently lethal on its own, would need the Healer's Hawk for the final point.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Galvao is. Benlage Marshall, not bad, not bad. Big swing here. Mengucci's out of cards here, so he's gonna trade one and block the other one. Takes 4 here, already down to 3 here, and Adanto has been doing great work so far. Yeah,
Adanto just providing a steady stream of life-linking vampires. I mean, the Boros aggro list here has so much life, and oh my goodness, that was a fantastic top deck in terms of Jade Light Ranger. 2 explores, meaning that Mengucci on 9 life, just clinging on, but finding 2 lands off there, I can't help but think that he would rather have found at least 1 spell.
Yeah, I mean, he still has Memorial to Folly. He can use that to bring back the Branch Walker and keep the Wildgrowth Walker chain going, and putting himself out of Banefire range if he can do so. At least the Healer's Hog will keep attacking. I think Andrea might be regretting the attack with the Chupacabra on the previous turn, just because Chupacabra could have traded with one of the lifelink tokens. He would have had a little bit more life here.
So a 2-point swing there from
Healer's
Hawk. Oh, sorry, a 1-point swing for Healer's Hawk there.
Yeah, with the Benlage Marshall.
Oh, yes,
for 2. Yeah. Golden Demise. That's the spell you wanted, Tim. Mengucci with the City's Blessing sweeps the board of the small creatures. There's still Benlage Marshall left, of course. That's a 3/3. But with the City's Blessing, I think, he does have the City's Blessing. There we go. Look at that. Another Jade Light Ranger. This Wildgrowth Walker is off the charts. And just turn after turn, even if Galvao draws the Banefire now, it's not enough.
Yeah, this has been a big couple of turns here for Andrea Mengucci, finding just enough to be able to now hit a point where he's able to start attacking. Wildgrowth Walker is attacking as a 5/7
Wow.
I mean, 30 life, it's going to take a little while for this Wild Growth Walker to get there, but at this point, the velocity of the draws off the top of the Boros aggro lists, they're not going to be so high. And, yep, this Vanguard, yes, it's a little bit of life gain here and there, the Leonin Vanguard, but Mengucci here, he's beginning to get in the driver's seat.
Yeah, Vivian Reed is nice, nice one as well. It has multiple applications, not just can look for great cards, can also minus to destroy the baffling end to get a 3/3.
Yeah, get some dinos chomping on in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't find your own Carnage Tyrant, sometimes a 3/3 that your opponent's given you will be good enough.
Exactly. But the Wild Growth Walker will not be scared of attacking here. It's already at 9 toughness. I think Andrea was just doing the math. If Galvao can find any blocks that would make him lose that elemental.
So yeah, these vampires, they're still piling on out of the fort, but maybe a little bit too slow now. The amount of life that is being gained by Andrea Mengucci with this Wild Growth Walker,
insane,
absolutely colossal. Another Benalish Marshal coming down. So the creatures that Boros Aggro has working with here, that Diogo Galvao is able to deploy, they're all large. Many of them have lifelink thanks to those vampires coming out of Adanto, and it means that he is going to take some time to kill. He is in principle threatening lots of damage, but in practice, this board that Mengucci has been able to develop ought to be good enough.
Yeah, I think Mengucci is going to go for pluses here rather than the minus on the baffling and that we talked about before, just because he can find some decent cards.
And if he finds a Reclamation Sage, then that's kind of even better for him, really.
Yeah, adds an extra blocker to the board, and building. Actually, it might be entirely possible that Mengucci might build up to the Vivian Ultimate, which should be impossible to beat for Galvao.
Yeah, when Vivian provides her emblem, the fact that your creatures gain indestructible, the fact they get +2/+2, I mean, gradually you just hit a point where there's really no reason not to be attacking every turn. Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible means that you're never going to get punished for attacking beyond a Settle the Wreckage, and while Settle the Wreckage is something that these guys will be aware of, it's something that Mengucci can sort of just split his attacks, attack with half, and see how that goes.
Yeah, he chose Branchwalker from that Vivian Plus because it's just better than the Reclamation Sage, thanks to the Wild Growth Walker triggers. And both players now just building a wall of creatures, just to land there for Galvao. Bad news for him, he won't be able to add anything to his board, just gains 1 life off of the Vanguard. He has more than 3 creatures very easily.
Yeah, Leonin Vanguard, the life gain off it, I mean, it's unlikely to be a gigantic change to the clock on things.
Speaking of gigantic,
I mean, there are a few things more gigantic than Carnage Tyrant. Vivian Reed will try and find still more action. Another Wild Growth Walker. Once you have double Wild Growth Walker, every Explore becomes utterly, utterly foolish, gaining 6 life for every Explore. And here Mengucci, his Vivian Reed is up to 7 counters. He's got ample creatures on the battlefield. At some point he will be able to start attacking, and when he does, it's not going to take very much time at all here for him to close things off.
Let's see what Galvao can do here. Might have an Experimental Frenzy. Yep, it is a Frenzy. So at least he might be able to churn through his deck a little bit. Another land on top. Let's see if he fizzles again here.
Landlocked, or maybe just a situational spell that he can't quite employ?
Yeah, possibly. Possibly another Frenzy would be still fine. He could play that, but it's probably another land. And yeah, Mengucci, rather than building up to the emblem, now deciding that he's going to minus, doesn't want Galvao to churn through his deck. With so many lands, it would be very easy for Galvao to chain 4, 5, maybe even 6 spells a turn. Attacked with the Chupacabra only. He's trying to get into his yard so he can bring it back with the Memorial to Folly.
Ravenous cheeky Cabra, if you ask me.
Indeed. Alright, so another Vampire. Let's see what Galvao has on top. Was it the land? Yes, it was. So he had 2 on top. Not what you want to have with the Frenzy here. At least he held off that Vivian Emblem for a couple turns.
I mean, 15 power of lifelink here for Galvao. We shouldn't forget about that. And he's adding to it each and every turn. More Wild Growth Walkers.
Jeez.
Everyone's got lifelink, or life gain, should I say.
Yeah, but this is basically just if Mengucci draws a finality, that's basically Galvao's whole board dead. 3 mana. Okay, he's through Benalia, sure.
More tokens and plenty more mana to be able to make more vampires. This board getting very cluttered indeed. It almost feels like we must have a Selesnya deck somewhere on the table.
Yeah.
That's actually in the hands of Tianfa Moon up on the top table. He's currently a game up against Is It Drakes. We may get a chance to jump across to that soon enough.
I think Jade Light Ranger, all the Wild Walker finds a Rascal Contempt. He's keeping that because he just wants to start killing all those Benalish Marshals if he gets the chance. But those, I don't even want to do the math of like how much life Andrea
What's that? 18 life that he just gained off
37.
casting his Jade Light Ranger.
Easy peasy. And Chupacabra, Cheeky Cabra rather, as you said. He could easily block it, but he just doesn't want to.
Yeah, the fact that his Benalash Marshals mean that all of his creatures at least 3/3 in size, if not more, means that, yeah, they'd all be able to take down a Chupacabra, but ultimately he would much rather not allow Memorial to Folly to get it back, because Memorial to Folly would mean that he is able to get the get the coming to play trigger again, rather, deal with the Benalish Marshal, and ultimately his board gets quite a bit worse.
Yeah, there's a Branch Walker. That's going to mean some more exposure. He also has the Rascal Contempt in hand, so he'll definitely be able to kill one of the Marshals. Now also finds an Assassin's Trophy.
You know,
more life, nine
more life. His Wild Growth Walkers are colossal. Finality here, he would have so many creatures surviving it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel very fair.
Thinking about swinging with his Carnage Tyrant as well here. I mean, now both players know about the Rascal's Contempt in Mengucci's hand here, so I'm sure Galvao, if he blocks, would block in a way that he wouldn't get surprised by that Rascal's Contempt.
I mean, there's also, I guess, a vague concern perhaps about protecting this Vivian Reed from attacks back.
Sure, yeah. Swings with the massive Wild Growth Walker. It's 11, 13.
Wow. It's not very often that you hear that combination of power and toughness at any point in the game, but congratulations, Andrea Mengucci. You've been able to achieve that special feat.
Yeah, he would need to block with like 7 2/2s.
3/3s.
Well, he's going to kill one of the Benalish Marshals.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
With the Rascal's Contempt. So just a chump block on the Wild Growth Walker for now.
So effectively, Galvao only gaining 1 in that exchange. And the Vampire immediately coming back thanks to down to the first fort. So Knights all getting +2/+1 this turn. And Benalish Marshal also a Knight, so a fair few of them on the battlefield, though I can't imagine that Galvao especially excited about attacking here.
No, I don't think he's excited at all. the Adanto, speaking of unexciting, I mean the Adanto Vanguard.
I mean, it's the one thing that Galvao can be pleased about here, the fact that he's been able to hold Mengucci to play games for longer so that his teammates are not getting... Mengucci's teammates, rather, are not getting any massive advantage.
Yeah, so 8 counters now on the Vivian Reed. And if... there's a Branch Walker. If Mengucci survives the next turn, he's going to have that emblem, and it's going to be over. We already know about the Assassin's Trophy in Mengucci's hand. That can take up the Benalish Marshal and really make those vampires tiny.
Just 57 points of life for Mengucci. Do you remember the point in the game when he was genuinely right on the cusp? He was having to just do everything he could to hang on by his fingertips. Seems so long ago now, and yeah, having to find the 12-sided die for the biggest Branch Walker.
Yeah, he's already swinging with much more than speed. He doesn't even care about the Vivian emblem. He doesn't want to go for the flashy plays. Just swings with everything, it looks like. Or is he?
He's figuring it out. Mengucci, a player who, I think ever since Pro Tour Born of the Gods, where he was on the King of the Hill table for pretty much the whole tournament in terms of his making his first top 8, that was where he really came to the public eye. Ever since, he's been a mainstay on the pro scene, and he will be one of our 32 players competing in the highest level Mythic Championships with Magic Arena streaming as well.
The most amazing thing about Andrea Mengucci's career, apart from his World Magic Cup exploits, is the fact that he has 3 Pro Tour top 8s, but he's still never top 8 at a GP.
Yeah, an
Just
inauspicious
insane.
title for him there, but it's something that it's almost become a thing for him now that every GP I see his Facebook post or his Twitter post saying, all right, this is going to be the time. I'm gonna make my top 8. And he's always in the running. He just somehow, it's never quite broken for
Right,
him.
yeah, I think he has lost so many win-ins already. I mean, he's a great player, but he doesn't always get there.
Desperately hoping to get there for his team and his country here at the World Magic Cup. Team Italy have had a fantastic run in the World Magic Cup for so many years now. He would love to be able to keep that streak going.
This is really tough for Galvao here. He's trying to line up enough blockers to block the biggest gates, trade with as many creatures as possible, while potentially maybe hoping to be able to swing at the Vivian Reed at least a little bit. But I think it's unlikely to matter here.
Yeah, I mean, Mengucci, in some respects, you can kind of rely on the fact that by him having made these swings, they're probably going to be a relatively good set of attacks for him. And Galvao, he will be getting a little bit of help from his teammates, if at all possible here, because this is not a trivial bit of blocking decisions.
Yeah.
57 life for Mengucci.
Yeah, I think this is fairly academical at this point.
Stalling as much as possible.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out the. I'm surprised there's no block with the Benalish Marshal, seeing as I would imagine that Andrea will use the Assassin's Trophy to kill, but it's fair enough. I mean, the players are fairly chatty about it. Yeah, they're just showing off the trophy as well. Like, come on, guys, you know about this.
Yeah, I think Mengucci, just with a chuckle there, he said, he's just stalling as much as possible so I can't watch the other games.
Yeah.
Mengucci, very much a team player, loves team competition, and it has served him very, very well indeed.
Yeah, he's also very close friends with the world champion Javier Dominguez, one of the other Magic Pro League members, as well as Li Shiqian, and a lot of the other Asian players. So, we're resolving this combat. Interesting. No Assassin's Trophy play just yet. There's some trades. There's going to be some life loss. The board is going to be much clearer here.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the perks of the big swing. The life totals could go in either direction in terms of the way that Galvao is going. He's got so many lifelink vampires that entered the fray there. And ultimately, the fact that the Assassin's Trophy has not been used on the Marshal just yet means that a little bit more life for Galvao immediately.
Yeah, I'm surprised there was no the Assassin Trophy wasn't played, because it not just added more power and toughness to the board, but also gained Andrea a lot more life. As we talked about, yeah, I think it's fairly academical at this point. Andrea is going to bring back a Jade Light Ranger, add some more stuff to the board, and I think we're just going to head on to one of the other matches, because I think Andrea is going to take this.
Yeah, it seems very, very likely at this point. I can't quite imagine the world in which Andrea doesn't pick that up. We want to make sure that we're not having to hold any games too much, so that we just get to bring you as much Magic sort of au naturel as possible. And we're now going to get a chance to see a little bit more from, this is on the right of our screen, Marcio Carvalho. On the left, this is Mattia Basilico.
Yeah, treasure map from Basilico here. On turn 2, Wildgrove Walker again from Carvalho on his turn 2. Let's see if the treasure map finds the treasure for Basilico that he needs. This sideboard plan with the treasure maps I quite like. Treasure map is in general a decent card against the Golgari deck, especially if you have some removal spell like here, the Lava Coil. Being able to take out the Wildgrove Walker early is very important. It's going to give Basilico a lot of time, maybe for him to build up towards Niv Mizzet with Dive Down or something similar.
Yeah, the Wild Growth Walker, I mean, we've seen it do so much work in this feature match area already. While it's got 4 or fewer toughness, that's fine. Once it gets up to 5 toughness, it becomes so fiddly to remove with just a single removal spell. Duress there taking another treasure map for Carvalho. But yeah, the Lava Coil, the perfect answer to a Wild Growth Walker on the exact turn that he needed, because if the Wild Growth Walker gets followed up by a little bit of Explore, then maybe a bit more Explore, a Jade Light Ranger would be the ideal, of course.
Yeah. Then
Suddenly you've got a creature that is going to be able to attack very reasonably and indeed be difficult to kill.
Yeah, slow hands for both players though. Marcio doesn't have really much going on after that Wildgrove Walker was killed. He did have the duress to get rid of the other treasure map, but I think now Basilico having the advantage, not just the scribe, but the fact that the map can turn into a cove soon and just keep bringing more cards. It's going to be great for him. There's a Crackling Drake, another great card. But first, Discovery, maybe keep digging for some more business spells. Finding an opt at least, I think that's a decent card.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Basilico, you don't necessarily need to play it super fast. When you've seen that a duress coming early from Carvalho, signaling that he's maybe gone a little bit more controlling. Long games are pretty good for the Is It Drake's deck, and it may well be that he just decides that he's going to lean on that treasure map he's got in play, force the issue with that first, and see how well that works for him.
Yeah, plays that also the Steam Vent's untapped, and while we know that he has an opt that actually could also signal something like Spell Pierce that Marcio has seen before. Does Marcio have anything on 4 here? I know he has double cast down in his hand. Just nothing, just passes you. Wow. Very slow hand from Marcio, and he's going to be in some trouble.
I mean, the fact that he's got removal spells for the first few creatures of Basilico, on the face of things seems pretty good, but we know that there's the potential for Basilico, depending on how his draws end up lining up, to have instant speed interaction with those removal spells. And if it works out that he's able to counter key removal, or indeed counter that Vivian Reed that comes down such that it's not able to remove key flyers, then he might find himself in great shape for the mid and late game.
Yeah, here's the treasures after the map flipped into a cove. And we'll now see, I think, a Crackling Drake, and then Basilico is going to start turning the treasure into some more cards. As does the Crackling Drake. But Basilico, considering he already put quite a few cards on the bottom of his deck with the treasure map, I think a bunch of lands. He still has two lands in his hand, and Crackling Drake dice. Yeah.
It would have been very unfortunate there. So it looked like really Carvalho wanted to respond to the Crackling Drake's draw trigger to kill it, so that there wasn't the potential for counter magic. And ultimately he was a little slow on that, or maybe Basilico was a little quick on drawing his cards. Conveniently, it didn't work out that Basilico drew a piece of counter magic in order to muddy the waters there. He would have been able to, of course, cast it off his treasure. As things stand, Vivian Reed coming along on an empty board, and as we know, Planeswalkers on an empty board typically pretty decent. It means that we will see a few more threats being picked up from Carvalho. In the meantime, though, a kind of pseudo Planeswalker of its own, treasure map into Treasure Cove. Now we get to sacrifice some treasure to generate additional cards, and control decks with cards, they're in a pretty good shape.
Yeah, good draw from Basilico. He found an Enigma Drake and a dive down. It's already pretty decently sized at 3/4, but that Vivian Reed draw and resolving it for Marcio is just huge. It's such a great card against the Is It Drake stack, because it does kill the flyers, gives him some additional card advantage if he wants to. We already know about the Ravenous Chupacabra for Carvalho that he found off the Vivian Reed. It just does so much here, and if Basilico doesn't deal with it, it's just going to take over the game.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of protecting that Drake, yes, dive down very potent, but a duress in advance forces the issue from Basilico.
And now is Basilico thinking about playing the dive down on the Enigma Drake. It would protect it from the Vivian Reed.
I mean, it would protect it from most things apart from the cast down. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cast down's the one that can be played at instant speed in response to a dive down. The other two, if you just preemptively play a dive down, it works completely fine. Yeah,
I think I would play the dive down here, because losing the Lava Coil is not that big of an issue. He only has 2 cards, so if you lose the dive down, just having the Lava Coil in your hand for the rescue, I don't think it's that great. So, but he does let it resolve.
And this means that Marcio just gets to take his pick here.
Yeah,
it means he can take the dive down.
Exactly.
He can then cast Ravenous Chupacabra to deal with the Drake, and that means that he can tick up Vivian Reed rather than having to use her pretty valuable loyalty.
Yeah, or spending valuable mana to play the cast down. So and the worst thing is Basilico knows about the Chupacabra. It's hardly a surprise. There's a Jade Light Ranger. And now we might even see cast down and Jade Light Ranger if Marcio wants to develop his board. But I kind of expect him to play the Chupacabra. No, he wants to get the Jade Light Ranger on, of course. Set up his next few turns. Another Vivian Reed. Let's see if he's going to get tempted by that. I mean, Basilico already is struggling to deal with the first one, so Marcio doesn't want that. Gets a Memorial to Folly. It's a good pickup as well, and now gets to cast down the Enigma Drake. This way, Marcio gave a little bit away because Basilico did not know about the cast down, but he knew about the Raven's Chupacabra. So, but in this way, at least there's a creature on the board that Basilico will most likely kill with the Lava Coil. And Basilico also found a Discovery.
Discovery Dispersal, one of many ways for the Izzet Drake's deck to kind of churn on through, playing card drawing spells, getting cards in the graveyard. In some respects, for a lot of decks, it feels like you're just kind of treading water a bit, you're not really achieving anything, but the more cards in the graveyard for this Drake's list, the better. Yeah,
and it's a great set of 2 cards that he found. It was actually Dive Down and Crackling Drake, so he can draw the Crackling Drake with the Discovery, draw then the Dive Down with the Crackling Drake trigger, still leave up 1 blue mana for the Dive Down that he just drew, and yeah, we're almost at square one.
Yeah, and plenty of spells in the graveyard, 5 thus far, and I think we can imagine there being a Dive Down in there very, very shortly, meaning that potentially it's going to be straightforward enough for this Crackling Drake to be able to kill off Vivian Reed in one swing.
Yeah, Marso has drawn quite well after a poor start there, the Vivian, and then the second Duress was also quite important here.
Deathgorge Scavenger, an interesting one. Good against an Enigma Drake, less good against the Crackling Drake, because Crackling Drake doesn't mind whether or not spells are in exile or not, just simply wants to make sure that they're no longer in hand and somewhere between graveyard and exile.
Yeah, so Vivian goes up to 8, so Emblem is in sight. Just finds a Woodland Cemetery though.
5 spells currently in the graveyard, so it's not going to take too many more to be able to kill Vivian in one go. Definitely within the realms of possibility.
There's the Chupacabra.
And Marcio there holding it mid-air, just sort of giving his opponent the opportunity to respond. Responds ultimately to the ability being on the stack, the ability to kill a creature off.
Another instant added to the graveyard, so Crackling Drake is already up at 6. 6 power. And now with the Deathgorge Scavenger, it's probably going to take away one of them. Oh no, he's going to take a Crackling Drake, I think.
Well, this way around gains a little bit of life for Carvalho, which may prove relevant, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
What's going on?
I mean, I guess that given that Crackling Drake's in play, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to the Drake's power, so you might as well
gain some life. Right, so the card drawn, Disdainful Stroke. That's a good one. Very proactive though. Lava Claw can deal with one of the creatures. He first draws a card off of the treasure. Another Crackling Drake. Jeez. Basilico is drawing like a madman here.
Yeah, once you get up to double Drake territory, that's where single turn attacks to completely win the game seem much more likely. Draws into, well, Spell Pierce at this stage in the game might not do a whole lot.
Yeah, Spell Pierce not looking great in this spot, but I think we're going to see a Lava Coil still. I mean, not enough to kill the Vivian, though.
I mean, it will leave Vivian only able to tick up, though.
Sure.
Once Vivian is at low enough loyalty that she can't start shooting down flyers, it may be that this is the turn that you say, I just need to set up so that next turn I can have a big attack and kill everything. Or kill all of the Marcios at this table.
All of the Marcios, yeah. So 7 power Crackling Drake takes the Vivian Reed down to 1. Now with this Disdainful Stroke, man, if Marcio goes for something big here, the stroke will be great.
And Ravenous Chupacabra coming off Vivian Reed, and that would be an ideal target for this Disdainful Stroke. And Disdainful Stroke, exactly the kind of card that Basilico just wants a target. Almost any target he sees, he'll use it on. He wants to get more spells in his graveyard, and to be able to use it on something as high impact as a Ravenous Chupacabra, absolutely ideal for the Italian, who's still on 18 life here, which is a lovely position to be in right now.
So Chupacabra gets stroked.
Up to 8 instants and sorceries.
That's 16 damage. If Basilico draws something like a Charter Course, this could be basically over if he draws enough action off of them. Niv Mizzet is also not the worst, even though Carvalho is now setting up for a Memorial to Folly, returning Chupacabra so he can start dealing with. But I just think that Basilico has just too many flyers in general. Like it's going to be very slow here. he might even, Basilico might even actually think about just attacking face with both.
It does put Carvalho in a very difficult spot here. 16 damage, leaving Carvalho at 6. Either of those Drakes are lethal at that point. Once you add a Niv Mizzet to the battlefield, you have 3 lethal threats. And even if there is going to be a Memorial to Folly getting back one Chupacabra is just not going to be enough.
Yeah, but if he draws another removal spell, maybe it could be closer. It's still tense.
Well, the current match update, we have Mengucci did win his match in the middle. This match is in game 3. The match between Moon and Fonseca, that's game 3. That means that Italy right now have 2 shots at getting through if they win one of these games. And big swings coming in here from Basilico. He's going to try and make sure that he does not give Carvalho many extra draws to get to what he needs. He follows up those 2 big attacks with, well, the biggest of dragons. Here comes Niv Mizzet Perun. This means that each and every spell that gets cast by either player, that's a card drawn for Basilico. That is a point of damage thrown around as needed, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Marcio Carvalho to pull out of this one.
Yeah, even if Marcio drew another Chupacabra, it would not be enough here. He's digging, but I think this might just be over here. Marcio even could be able to maybe try to kill 2 flyers, but I just don't think he has what it takes here. All of the dragons on the other side of the board are supremely threatening. And it might just be Italy moving to the second round here on day 2 of the World Magic Cup. What a match.
Well, it was almost like you can see there just a big hug from Andrea Mengucci. This was the first team that had been able to take a win off Team Italy in the competition, and they were able to exact revenge in the very same pool of play. Fantastic stuff. Tian Famun not even needing to play his game 3 against Thiago Fonseca. That was just absolutely fantastic stuff there, and we've really seen the power of what the Drakes can do against these Golgari decks. Fantastic stuff for Italy. We will, of course, have more Magic for you, more elimination matches, more teams making it through to the next of the pool stages very soon, right after, in fact, these messages.
Hello there, welcome back to the news desk. I can tell you the players are on lunch. We're not, we're starving, but we're here for you. That's the kind of dedication you get from your coverage team. Matej, Tim, and Rich here. I think I probably outlast the two of you. I think that's the way that works if we don't ever get food again.
No, we just eat you.
Oh. Anyway, welcome back. It's getting a little surreal here in Barcelona, to put it mildly. I can tell you that we are done in pool play for the morning. That means 32 teams are down to 16. We'll take a look at the scoreboards in just a little bit. We've got a decider to show you in the lunch break. We've got a tour of the Netherlands to bring you. We've got some winner interviews to bring you. We'll look at the pool reveals. But first, we have Brian David Marshall out on the floor with a very happy man.
All right, I'm here with Team Italy. They've advanced out of the pool of death 3 matches in a row in the feature match area. Mattia Basilico, it came down to you there to win that match. What's going through your head as you're playing against Marcio Carvalho, one of the most feared players on the planet?
That was very hard, and I admit I have to draw a lava coil on turn 3. I was
Sky bottom, treasure map, lava coil.
simply that, and then okay.
Game was still hard.
Game was hard.
Yeah, discovery, top 2, crackling Drake, dive down.
That was also
pretty
a bit of work, but okay, yeah.
Now, being on camera is old hat to Andrea Mengucci. He's used to being on camera. For you guys, this is really the first time you're getting to play at this level with so many people watching. What's that experience been like?
I think I was pretty confident. It's like a normal game of Magic, okay? So I play like that, and that was fine, so I'm good.
I can tell you not everyone reacts that way the first time they're on camera. I'm going to come over here and tell me a little bit about your experience of being on camera yesterday.
Mengucci there has to stay relaxed and focus on the game. I think this is the first, but still very excited.
He's probably going to rewatch those like games on camera like for 1 month, probably like every night. He's gonna, last night he rewatched 2 times the one match that we had on camera. So like now.
So let me sleep last night. I want to watch the match. I want to sleep, please. And they said, no.
We have to watch it and watch it.
Then they kept talking. It was a nightmare.
It's okay. So tonight is going to be even, 3 matches to watch, maybe more. Who knows?
Who knows? Now, Andrea, you were part of a team that has won this before. You're the last player in the tournament who can become a repeat World Magic Cup champion personally. I'm not sure where France is. They might still be alive. Japan might still be alive. I'm not sure. But, what advice are you giving these guys as you go into this last round of pool play and, trying to get to that top 8?
My advice to every team event is always to never put your personality on top of the other teammates. So always ask if you're not very sure. Like if you have a so-so hand, ask. Even if you you're going to probably keep. If you have to play around something, you ask. You have to discuss a lot whenever it comes to this big event, because even the tiniest mistake can lose you the game.
All right. Well, there you have it. Team Italy, they advance out of the pool of death. They've got 3 more rounds of pool play. Maybe won't be on camera for all 3 of them.
Maybe 2.
Sending it back to you guys.
Let me tell you, Brian David Marshall, if they promise to watch every clip 100 times, we'll put them in the feature match every round. I was wondering where those 10,000 viewers came from. It's all Andrea Mengucci, it turns out. Marvellous. All right, it's decider time here at lunchtime. That means we're going to show you some more action from pool play. It's round 3. Of course it is. It's Estonia against Israel. They're both at 1-1. They must be because they played in round 3. And in gameplay, they couldn't be divided either. Arti Sirand for Estonia against Yuval Zuckerman. They're done as we join it. Karl Sarup against Shahar Shenhar. They're done as we join it. Which means we could be settling in for a long one. It's Mick Kasich against Amit Etgar. And it's a Golgari mid-range mirror. Here's Tim and Matej.
All right, so on the left of our screen, that is Mick Kasich. Both these players getting the straightforward Forest start, but nothing on turn 2 from Edgar and nothing on turn 2 from Kasich. I mean, ideally, this is not quite how you draw it up. And Midnight Reaper, while it is a potent 3-drop, it's not necessarily the one that's going to be dealing the most damage in the early stage of this game. Jade Light Ranger, kind of where I would prefer to be, at least, Matej.
Yeah, definitely. Jade Light Ranger is great here. He gets rid of an Alana Warhouse, puts an Overgrown Tomb in his hand, and will keep the mana flowing for the Estonian here. I saw Shahar Shenhard's Twitter before this round, and they're like, oh, we already beat Estonia once. We can do it again. But it's very much decider time here, so it wasn't as comfortable as Shahar would have liked it.
And we've already seen in the feature match area once already that just because you've played a team and beaten a team before in this tournament does not mean to say that it's a fait accompli if you have to do so again. And we see creatures trading off here. What do we have as a follow-up? It's Khan coming to town here on Amit Edgar's side of things. Israel has a source of persistent card advantage in a Planeswalker that doesn't have to be Vivian Reed. Getting a Forest there and potentially a Carnage Tyrant later on. And Planeswalkers on empty boards, very scary indeed.
Yeah, so maybe a quick Vasquez Contempt on that. Yep, there it is. And yeah, very timely as well, because after that trade of creatures here, playing Karn empty board is like, it's just such a great feeling where it's unimpeded and your opponent really has to deal with quickly, otherwise the card advantage from that Silver Golem is just going to be too much to handle.
So far, Estonia and Israel trading blows here. No one able to stick anything for any great length of time. The life totals essentially untroubled by what's been going on thus far. Looks like there's plenty of land available for Edgar. It's really going to come down to what his spells are here if he wants to progress. And the second Khan does have the option here of just immediately ticking down to get that Carnage Tyrant that's got a silver counter on it. And it looks like that's exactly what he's elected to do here. Just making sure that he has one quality card that he knows what it is, rather than rolling a dice on getting something good on the top of his deck.
Plus the Karn still stayed on the battlefield as a legitimate threat to keep the cards flowing. But Edgar is now going to have the Carnage Tyrant online before Mick Kasich can even hit 5 mana.
Yeah, I mean, the Lamorels there came right on time to be able to accelerate something out. Gets to have the cheeky hit in here with those Lamorels. And Carnage Tyrant representing a very short clock indeed. 21 life there remaining. That's 3 swings for a Carnage Tyrant by my maths. And Jade Light Ranger, yes, it's going to represent a speed bump, but little more on its own here. And if there's removal coming from Amit Edgar, then it may be that Israel have everything they need to be able to work their way through as another Carnage Tyrant, the pickup here for Amit.
Roar. The torrent of tyrants.
We like this. And meanwhile, for Kasich, it doesn't seem like the draws are quite stacking up here. Looks like he might have a copy of the Eldest Reborn, but Lamorel's the perfect answer to that. It's the sacrificial elves so that the dinosaurs may live, and Jade Light Ranger, the only pickup that's going to work here. Now, we have seen an interesting card picked up thanks to that Jade Light Ranger.
Detection Tower.
Detection Tower can remove Hexproof, but I don't know whether or not there'll be time for Mick to be able to actually deploy it and use it and still have mana for removal, because the swings here on this next turn by Amit Edgar are going to be absolutely gigantic.
Yeah, the double Carnage Tyrant unopposed on this sort of board, even if there's a double block, even if there's no removal by Amit, he's still in great shape. He would at least have some follow-up creatures, but we already see a Vraska's Contempt.
Yeah, Vraska's Contempt, meaning that even the double block not looking too exciting. An Assassin's Trophy as well, and that's enough for the handshakes all around. Congratulations to Team Israel. We'll be seeing them in the next round of pool play. Very quick decider there, as it turns out. You can win the Golgari Mirror quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course we can. All right, great stuff. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at our scoreboards then. We're going to wrap up pool play for the morning and show you who makes it in. So, in Pool A, the news is that in round 3, Australia defeated Canada. Hayne & Co. are gone. Adam Ragsdale, Randall Barber will no longer continue in this tournament. Eliminated in the round of 32. Congratulations to Australia, who join Finland in the top 16. And we go to Pool B. In Pool B, well, we've just seen Israel win the decider against Estonia. We already knew that Hungary were through with wins over Wales and Israel, and Wales with their 2 losses were already eliminated. So Israel and Hungary advance from Pool B. And we go to Pool C. And in Pool C, We will show you Hong Kong and Germany advance. The deciding game there, Matej, the Germans over Slovenia.
Yes. I mean, the Germans had a great start to the tournament, then a little bit of a speed bump by losing the first round here, put them really right on the edge of being eliminated, but they rallied back, and I'm happy to see Christian Hauck and co. continue.
Yeah, so Slovenia gone. Mexico were already out, the champions of Grand Prix Liverpool last weekend. They are done. Pool D, which is what we've been following all morning, the pool of death. Well, that last result waiting to come in to our scoreboard, but of course we know that Italy did defeat Portugal and advance to join Austria, and that means that former World Magic Cup champions Denmark were gone. Tim, you could literally have just picked 2 out of the hat from any 4 and gone, yeah, that makes perfect sense, because it was just such a tight group.
Absolutely could. And razor thin edges, the fact that we saw Italy and Portugal playing twice and the result going a different way each time, just one of the indicators as to how closely matched some of these teams were.
Yeah, the 51-49. We could have been here for several days and still it been really tight. Okay, Pool E is up next, of course, and we see that Belarus advance with their win over Thailand in the 3rd round. China were already through, and then Romania were already eliminated. So Nikolai Potovin continues apace. He is just such a tremendous player and a great will to win. They're living what they call a free roll. They're just having fun playing Magic, but they're playing very, very well. Belarus through to the top 16 this round and joining China there. On to Pool F. And in Pool F, we already knew that South Africa were out, but oh my word, Uruguay defeat the United States. United States, with losses to Malta and Uruguay, are eliminated, and so no more Seth Manfield and friends. They are gone in the first stage of pool play, and it is Uruguay joining Malta in the top 16. And you got to say, Malta are today's Peru. Right? It was 4-0 for Peru, and we thought that was a fantastic achievement. But for Malta here, I say the 73rd country to join the World Magic Cup, and joined by Honduras this year. Malta getting through to the top 16.
I don't want to be a naysayer, you know, or someone to rub it in, but I remember, you know, the talk from this morning here. Oh, what a great group for the United States. Just 3 countries that are not known for World Magic Cup success, and there we go. Uruguay and Malta make it out.
Yeah, it
great success for each.
I mean, I said that on last night. As we saw the pools and we saw them live, not knowing what they were going to be, and that was just my honest response. I thought that was a fantastic draw for the United States. Would you have picked United States to go at least 2-1 in the Group D that featured Italy and Denmark and Austria and Portugal? So to have this lineup, you would have thought fantastic, but you do have to have the matchups. You have to have the right cards at the right time. Just didn't work out for Team USA this time around. So that's Pool F. Pool G then. Who advances? Well, we already knew that the Philippines were safely through with wins over South Korea and France. But France come back again. They defeat South Korea in the decider, meaning Sweden and South Korea are done. So Jean-Emmanuel Depraz and the boys, Tim, continue apace into the top 16. Not a super well-known team, but there's Timothée Jameau, Arno Hockmiller's a guy who's been around a lot of European GPs. We've all commentated on, you know, mid to late day 2 feature matches for him, and they're just being super solid, which reminds me very much of the 2013 French side that was led by Raphael Levy. They did not look fantastic on paper beyond Raf, and they, of course, went and won the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the French team, and they were actually very confident about. They said that they didn't prepare with any other countries. Like we've seen Finland work with Denmark, Austria with Germany, and Slovaks work with the Canadians and Dutch, and so on. They just said, like, we have enough good French players to play this within our group. So Rémi Fortier, Pierre Dargent, Louis Deltour, all these players were helping the French team get prepared.
Wow.
Truly a national effort.
Yeah, top stuff. All right, so Pool G is done. Pool H is the last one for us to look at. We knew that Japan...
Yeah. Slovensko.
You know there's there's a no singing rule in the contract. You know that, right? Or is that just my contract? Okay.
No.
Okay, so as you can probably tell, the man from Slovakia is quite pleased that Slovakia have won. And the man from Ukraine didn't want to come on air because they're sad. So Japan advanced, Slovakia advances, Ukraine and Puerto Rico are out, and that concludes pool play for the morning, which means very shortly the 16 that remain will be back to do it all again. And Tim, can you give us, we don't have much time, could you give us a sort of straightforward explanation of how pool play works?
I'll give you 2 sentences. Win twice, that's nice. Lose 2, you're through.
See? I'd have taken 5 minutes over that and frequently have. Thank you. Yes, all right. So we're going to move away for a couple of minutes here because Enter the Battlefield is a dearly beloved feature here at our flagship events. Nate and Sean do an amazing job of covering the wide, wide world of Magic the Gathering. This time, they're not too far away from here. I think my geography's right. We're on the same continent. Netherlands, Spain. Yeah, they're both European. So we're going to take you back. Daffodils? Daffodils? You meant to get tulips from Amsterdam.
Amsterdam is not only the Netherlands' capital, it's one of Europe's cultural gems. If you're a Magic player visiting, there's no one better to show you around than the country's first popular Twitch streamer, Jan van der Vecht.
Amsterdam is a beautiful city. You can walk around here for 2 days and not be bored. It's just, there's beauty everywhere. It's also very open-minded, and people are very open or very friendly, or they are very welcoming. Amsterdam is a really old city. Most people travel by bike. Cyclists in Amsterdam, they're the king of the road. Traffic lights are just suggestions. This is a really famous market here in Amsterdam. Every day it's open, and there's a lot of wares that are shown here. So these are poffertjes. They're tiny pancakes, and they're covered in caramel.
All right, guys, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be drafting some more Guilds of Ravnica.
The Dutch Magic community is pretty localized, I would say. So there's a number of cities where there's a pretty strong Magic community. The Dutch local community here in Amsterdam is really based around the Café Twee Klaveren, which is where players of all levels come to draft on Monday nights.
Hi, Thomas Seeds, 12 please.
We are right now in Café de Twee Klaveren in the center of Amsterdam. This has been the center of Magic the Gathering in Amsterdam for 18 years. And here I organize every Monday night for the last 10 years, Booster Draft. It's famous if you're in Amsterdam, it's Monday evening, you can go and draft here. It's always been like that. We don't organize the year with any computer system official. It's not a sanctioned event. So it's a very old-fashioned system. Just with some paper, I write your name down, and just before we start, I create a few tables. So the best players who play in Pro Tours, they go to the first table, maybe second table, third table, fourth table. And I can see people who get better, they go higher tables. I think it encourages people to become better and better. And some people don't care about it, they just want to play and have fun, very casual. Well, they stay at the lower tables. But the higher table is pretty high level, I would say. One of the best tables for drafting in Holland. This place is pretty special because it's a cafe, it's more cozy. A lot of friendship have been formed here. Everybody knows each other. And so it's been an important place for many people. Many people have come here since they were 16 and they still come here every week.
Sven is a local guy who's been coming here for a very long time. We actually call him Papa Sven, which comes from that he was one of the first people in our community to have a child. But I think that also very well fits his role in our community, where he makes sure that everyone's having a good time, that everyone feels welcome, and yeah, that he looks out for everyone. He's like the father figure of our community.
So the first Grand Prix was here in Amsterdam, in the university, and it was 1997. The event was very small compared to now, like I think 450 people. And the format was standard. Mono red we were playing. Bonza, land destruction with big creatures. I qualified for my first Pro Tour, and it was amazing. At the end of the 90s, beginning 2000s, we had a golden age, I would say, in Dutch Magic, with Frank Karsten, Jelger Wiegersma, Camille Cornelis, and some other players who all went in the Hall of Fame. We never got back to this level, I would say, and these were some of the best players ever in the world. So we're trying to get back to this level, and people like Dan and Thomas are really good, but let's see. I think our national team this year is really good, one of the best it has ever been, and so I think we're going to win again. I'm pretty sure, actually.
Yeah? Yeah, you got me.
Hey, Dan, what is this?
The one flyer, man. Oh.
Yeah. I got 2 flyers.
Yeah. So my previous experience with the World Magic Cup is playing it last year together with Thomas. It didn't go very well. In fact, I didn't win a single match the whole day. So I'm very happy that I get the chance to redeem myself, and hopefully I'll at least improve on the O and X record. So that's my goal.
Yeah, I actually played with both of them before in the World Magic Cup, and both times we bombed the tournament. So now we get to redeem with both of them. So now we need to make it up for it with another like good finish, so like a top 8 or a win.
I think we're going to make at least top 8.
Is het de moeite waard om die 1-1 te blokken? Dat is op flying ook. Flappert. En kan er eentje blokken, toch?
Ja, dat is sowieso eentje blokken.
And that's it, denk ik. I think my role in this team is just going to put magic cards on the table, to be honest. Well, one of the things I want to do with this team is organize the whole process. So I come from a business background and I like organizing teams. I think Thomas is, of course, the best Magic player we have in the Netherlands. So his role in the team is just going to be like knowing everything about the whole format, figuring out the best decks for everybody, and also coaching us to play better with these decks.
No.
And I think Dan is amazingly intelligent, and if you give Dan a deck for a week or 2 to prepare with, he's going to play this deck 100% optimally and crush everybody.
That's not remotely true.
That's what I feel now.
Okay.
That's all, my feelings are also
I'm flattered. Yeah.
I think playing the World Magic Cup is like really fun, like even more than individual tournaments. So I think playing the round will almost certainly be fun, and well, winning in the end will make it even better.
But this time around, I'm going to be incredibly focused. Potentially, I'm even going to stare my opponent down, like just psychological warfare a little bit, and win.
We have to trash talk, guys. We have to trash talk.
Once we play the Germans in the World Magic Cup, we're going to completely crush them, right?
They're probably good. I think we'll do better, and I hope we don't play them.
I'll definitely have my game face on, but it's always, the first round of any tournament is always a little bit shaky. Then once the first few lands are played, then it's gone, and I'm just focusing the game and going to do my absolute best to carry these guys.
Give me your favorite Magic set.
Innistrad.
Return to Ravnica.
Ravnica.
Favorite Planeswalker.
Liliana of the Veil.
I don't have a favorite Planeswalker.
The Fairy Hero of Demonaria.
Favorite broken card.
Sphinx's Revelation. It's not really broken, but it's basically my favorite card. So.
Skullclamp.
The Fairy Hero of Demonaria.
Yeah, good answer.
Alright, I need your favorite moment in the Magic story scene where Lazav the Multifarious confronts the Minotaur Grimly Malthus over Merritt's outstanding debts.
What the
I like when he surveilled him into the graveyard.
I have no clue what you are talking about.
Are we still talking English?
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, as it always is. Enter the battlefield there. I am very, very puzzled, though, because I think someone just accused Sphinx's Revelation of being a broken card. It's perfectly fair, and really it should probably be uncommon. Maybe common. Anyway, that's the story of Enter the Battlefield and Amsterdam. Thanks very much, of course, to Nate Holt and Sean Kornhauser, the videographers and the minds and the brilliant brains behind Enter the Battlefield. We're closing in on our afternoon's entertainment here at the World Magic Cup. But to be in the last 16, you've got to win in those pool plays in the morning, and we've been out and about talking with some of the winners. Let's hear from them.
The captain, and now you have secured for now the best finish for Malta ever. How do you feel?
Yeah, it feels very good, honestly. Obviously way above our expectations. We were super stoked to make day 2 already, which was an upgrade from last year. So anything that happens now is just a bonus, pretty much.
And your country is very small. It's the 10th smallest in the world, population under 500,000. What is the Magic community like in Malta?
Yeah, pretty much just as small. The Nationals had sub 30 players, I think. The pre-release got more runners than the Nationals did, so that pretty much says it all, yeah.
You know everybody, basically?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you get to know everybody pretty quickly.
So I want to talk to you. You're very excited after your win. Congratulations. Yeah. You beat the U.S. the previous round, and you said you've watched a lot of Seth's videos. What is it like to play him in real life?
Yeah, it was an unreal experience. Basically, by preparing for Worlds, I watched his streams. I read all his articles basically, and then to face him and actually beat him, it was out of this world.
What deck are you playing this weekend?
Golgari midrange.
Wow, that's incredible. So how do you feel going forward in this tournament? Are you starting to get nervous?
Yeah, but we're in it to try and win it. So basically, that's our aim here. Since we're participating, we have to achieve our best finish possible.
You mentioned to me that you'd been practicing a lot for this event. What did your testing look like?
So basically, since we're a small country, we gathered all the best players on the island, and we really tested hard. We took everyone's feedback, and me and Daniel have our basic team that really helped us to get here. And we went through conversations, some many arguments also, but it all worked out, and it was fruitful.
And we want to say hi to our teammates and all our friends at Malta. I'm sure they're watching us right now. Hi Malta.
Awesome! Congratulations on doing so well today, and best of luck the rest of the way, Malta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. I'm here with 2/3 of Team Austria. Congratulations on making it through the top 16. How do you feel?
Well, great, obviously, after a bad start yesterday, making it in the last round to day 2, and now a very good start.
So what standard decks did you bring with you this weekend?
I am playing Jeskai Control with Treasure Map.
Green-white, and for the third guy, green-black.
So was it difficult to arrive at those, or was that just pretty much what you thought you should all play?
Yeah, we thought we should just play those decks pretty easily.
So you were wearing some lederhosen yesterday, but none today. What's the story?
It's easier to play in jeans.
That makes sense. So tell me a little bit about this tournament. It's so different than all of them. What does it mean for Austria?
A lot, I think, because we never won this tournament. At the Old Worlds, we made second place once. Now we're gonna try to improve it, especially as it's the last one.
Tell me a little bit about working with your teammates. How has it been testing? Did you do a lot of work beforehand?
We already started testing together for the last Pro Tour because all of us were qualified. So we knew each other a bit better before the event, and it was quite easy working together.
Moving forward in this tournament, are you starting to feel the pressure a little bit making it to top 16, or are you still cool and calm and collected?
At the moment it's fine, but we'll see later.
I saw you watching Germany playing over there. Are you doing a little bit of homework too?
Yes, we would be happy if they also win because we were testing with them and staying together, so it would be pretty bad if they don't.
Well, I wish you the best of luck the final rounds of this tournament. Team Austria, thank you so much for talking with me.
Welcome back to the desk. I have the pools in front of me for this afternoon. So if you've still got your horse in the race, one of the 16 countries left, here's who you'll be facing in pool play. Pool A, the number 1 seed is Hong Kong with Li Shichan. The number 2 seed is Hungary, Akos Kenieres Gabor Coxis. Finland are the 3rd seed in Pool A, and the Pool A is rounded out by Slovakia with Ivan Flock, Milan Niznansky, and Richard Hornansky. So Hong Kong, Hungary, Finland, Slovakia. That is Pool A. Pool B sees Shahar Shenhar with the number 1 seed Israel, the number 2 seed Nikolai Podovin and the Belarus team. 3rd seed is France, Jean-Emmanuel Deprat, and 4th seed Austria, who we've just heard from. So that's Israel, Belarus, France, Austria. On we go to Pool C, headlined by the Philippines, Yan Ang, continuing to set the pace. Japan are in Pool C, as are Uruguay and Australia. So that is Philippines, Japan, Uruguay, and Australia. Not a European team in sight in Pool C. And then finally, Pool D, China is your number 1 seed, Liu Chen. Italy with Andrea Mengucci, of course, and Basilica, and so on. Malta, Anton Morgenstern, and finally it is Germany, Hauck, Tobias, and Joachim. So China, Italy, Malta, and Germany there. So those are your 16 teams. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it will be time for round 1 of the second stage of pool play here from the World Magic.